What is going on, everybody? It's the Patient Toddler coming at you with another live stream with guests. And today I brought Ron's Cryptotherapy to my stream to give us some really therapeutic massage into the crypto world. So that is good. Welcome to the stream. Ron, how are you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
And I appreciate every one of the people that are already here. I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of the rare hodlers already here. We have about 20 people already joining. So make sure to smash up the like button right away. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet for more of this stuff, and to push the stream as fast as possible out here to everyone so that everyone can get the nice discussions that we're about to have today. We're going to talk about the markets. We're going to talk about altcoins. We're going to talk especially about Ecomi and VeVe and whatever other topics that the chat is bringing to us. So yeah, let's crack right on and let's get right in. Rons, what do you think? Are you hyped about the market at the moment, or or are you feeling down, or are you bearish? Are you bullish?
Well, I feel good overall. I expected Bitcoin to sell off at 48 to 50K. So I had orders there set already to sell Bitcoin. I think people, they know that Bitcoin is the market mover, it's the leader. Bitcoin is definitely the daddy. So they kind of attach everything to Bitcoin. Like, okay, well, Bitcoin's not going up anymore. I'm scared of the alts and stuff like that. And you have to remember that, generally speaking, alts don't make the same tops and bottoms as Bitcoin. And it's kind of common knowledge in the space that if Bitcoin has a strong leg up, profit should roll into ETH and then to the altcoins or whatever. But they still get scared when Bitcoin stops going up. So I think the high end is for Bitcoin is in for the night. I don't think you're going to see higher prices in the upcoming weeks for Bitcoin over the high that it's already made.
Okay.
But that's
49,000, right?
Yeah, somewhere thereabouts, depending on the exchange you look at. So I don't think Bitcoin is going to make a new high. I think like the lines are drawn. Had an uptrend, now it had a buy climax, on the weekly. It sold off, and now you could it doesn't mean it goes straight down. It's more likely the market will range. I think the best thing that could happen for Bitcoin is if it just ranged in between, like, say 46 to maybe even all the way down to 38.5 for the next few months into like after the halving. That would be the best thing to happen for Bitcoin's overall health, in my opinion. As long as it doesn't downtrend, the alts can do whatever. So as long as Bitcoin doesn't downtrend and kind of stays in a range, then we are having some conditions for a potential alt season. It's not a guarantee, but I did a video on it looking back at when these conditions had happened before. One big thing is the ETH to BTC chart. And that looks really good for ETH. So, and that's what you've seen before these alt blow off. So, not financial advice, but hopefully that's what we'll see.
That sounds very good. And as I promised before we go deeper into potential market and so on, we will have a giveaway on the stream, and Ron will help me to find the winner in the end, but it will be only in the end. But I'm going to show you what it is, guys. I know that most of you are excited about Ecomi and VeVe and whatever. So we're having, sponsored by the Gold Dragon Club, we have a hard case here with the comic that is VeVe exclusive, so to say, with the VeVe logo on the backside. But actually, that's not the only thing. On the backside, you have the Virgin variant of the same thing. So they are back to back in this case. And we are going to give them away. So it's one pack, only one item. We are going to give it away to one lucky winner in the end of the stream. So make sure to stay tuned. And if you're only here for the giveaway, you unfortunately have to listen to everything right now because you don't know when it's going to happen. But this is going to go to one of you, and we will draw it in a good old classic way. But with that already said, you mentioned that Ethereum to Bitcoin looks pretty good in your eyes. And everyone who follows you on Twitter and looks on the content that you put out knows that you are bullish on specific altcoins, not on every altcoin right now, but on specific ones. Is this the time to look at altcoins right now? Or is this the time to already sell profits, to walk away, to prepare for a mega crash? Or what is your take on that?
Well, everybody gets into markets at different times and has different goals and different situations. So I not financially recommended people to because when Bitcoin's in an uptrend like it was on higher time frames, weekly and daily, and it's in a strong uptrend, the chances of it going down in a downtrend from an uptrend are very small. So I feel safer to buy alts and take more risky plays. Now, once that uptrend's kind of played itself out like it is now, I'm not going to pretend like there's not potentially risky conditions in the market. The probability is Bitcoin should have rangy price action, but it is more likely now that it could enter some kind of downtrend. I'm not seeing that just yet, or anything like that. So, I already had bags of alts and good alts that I wanted to buy on spot. So for right now, I'm actually just holding everything. Sometimes it's best to do nothing. If we have an alt season and it goes up, then great. I'm positioned well for it. If not, then anything I got to the side, I'll address if prices go down. And also, I've told people, if you are up, 5, 6, 7x on things, then it's not the worst idea to take some profit on it now, because you don't know that we'll have an alt season. And if we do, the new things will start popping off on chain, and you're going to want money for that as well. So it's never a bad idea to take profit if you're up a lot on some of these alts. Some of the things like in a group like Paladin AI, OTK, that we had put out and people were up pretty good on, I said, it's not the worst idea to take profit on some of these things now, because you don't want to be too greedy, because you don't know for sure that you're going to have an alt season, but the conditions are favorable for what we've seen in the past, but you don't know that for sure. And if you keep buying alts with every dollar you have and things, ultimately that's being greedy. And normally if you're being too greedy, then good things don't happen.
Okay, so I get that. So it's better if you have profits, maybe lock them in. Obviously, nothing of this what we are saying here is financial advice, but there are some degenerates like me that put up $50 and said, "Hey, look, community, you decide what we buy." What did we buy? We bought Miro, yeah, as I told you before, for the community portfolio. Now we're up 600%. So time to take some profits away to maybe buy something more real, like Metacade or so. At least that's my thinking. But so could be happening that some people are looking at that. And then we have these two splits in the crypto community, but also when we're asking about potential Omi targets. And yes, Bruce, we're going to start talking about Ecomi in a second, but we need to talk a little bit more about the market. So we have some people still doing the doomsayer and saying, okay, this is we topped out on the ETF news right now, and this is a lower high in the macro scale, and we are going to 12k, 10k, sub 10k. What would you tell someone that is of that opinion, that says that we could still put in a lower low for Bitcoin on a macro scale?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't tell them. I worry about myself and my analysis. So, if anybody who's saying that's on them to justify it or whatever. But I don't see that in the cards right now. I don't have a predetermined thing right now of where I think it could go. I'll tell you, if it goes down to 38.5, then you could expect strong support. Initially, and then you just have to see how the candles play out. But for now, I would say 38.5 would be strong support. The reason I'm not seeing a sweep of the lows is because of the way the market went up. Now, if it would have went up parabolically, because I thought, I posted last January that I thought we're heading to 48K. It was like January 23rd. And it had to do with the weekly candles and how they were, I thought it was breakout price action. So I was like, we're breaking out of this pattern. Then we should there's like a local, I did a video about it recently where I talked about it. The most local swing high, I was like, this is a breakout. This is going to take that out. And then I'm like, really, the next swing high up is 48K, because the one I saw after that was kind of weak. So, I mean, you're looking at the weekly, so I knew it was going to take a while to play out. But there was a macro target, I talked about in the video as well, like ETF or not. You got to understand, like, traders that are looking for that target, that were buying these breakouts, they're going to sell. ETF or not, they don't care. They're in it just to make money or whatever off this asset class. They're not worried about the greater whatever for Bitcoin or whatever. So you're going to have people selling there. That was just what it was. So I knew very low probability that it was going to break through that on the first time. But had it went up parabolically like it did on like the bear market rally in 2019, then yeah, I could have seen it's touching down with lower prices again. But it didn't go up that way. It stopped and it built a thick level of price action in between, 25 to 30. And when it broke out to the upside of 30, I said, very low probability now that you're going to get that sweep of the lows. I mean, nothing's impossible, but most of these guys that are talking about it, they're like black swan this, black swan that. You can't say, you can't count on a black swan. A black swan by definition is an unpredictable event. So you can't rely on it. So you're gonna need one. You're probably gonna need one to get it down. So I guess if you say it every day, maybe you'd be right eventually. I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that assessment, and I'm also not worried because I only have to check my own psychology and look at which price target of Bitcoin I would get already shaky fingers to press the buy button again to say, okay, let me buy some more, which would be around the $32,000, where I would say, okay, if the price goes there, I'm definitely buying a bunch, right? I mean, you can be of the opinion that we don't buy Bitcoin at all because it doesn't give us the multiples. But if I would buy Bitcoin, it would be certainly at around this level. Now, we just had one of the most expected big factors of this supposed bull run, right? Or the bull run that is going on, the Bitcoin ETFs. Do you think the Bitcoin ETFs do anything, or is that just hot air?
Oh, no, they definitely do something. I knew it wasn't going to be a flood of money. Exactly what I thought was going to happen, that it would pump off the news into the approval, and then once trading started, that it would sell off, and that's what happened. But it's because it's not a big influx of money at one time. But it's going to be money over time. These institutions are going to buy Bitcoin. They have no choice. That's the way these things work. So they are going to be buying Bitcoin slowly, little bits at a time for the fun. But it wasn't ever going to be a big influx of money. That's why I told people, be careful of these gold ETF narratives, because it's not the same thing. And leading up to it months ago, I said it on November 1st on a video. I said, don't buy when these YouTubers and Twitter geniuses start talking about these ETF comparisons for gold. Don't buy into it, because it's not the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, I agree 100% that it's going to be something that creeps in slowly into the reserves, into the price action, and probably it is like a securitized way how all the boomer investors can get basically exposure when they feel the FOMO, when they see the multiples rolling into Bitcoin, which could increase the effect maybe. You mentioned before quickly in the beginning, but I think some people missed it, how the money flows from Bitcoin to Ethereum, into large caps, into small caps, and so on. When do you think that happens? And maybe as a little side thing, when would that happen? And will monies be left over to flow into Ecomi as well, or will it flow into everything else besides Ecomi?
Well, that video I had made recently, I went back in time where either the ETH BTC valuation was kind of like this, and what happened. 'Cause the point I was trying to get at is, if Bitcoin shows weakness, can ETH still go up? Because ETH is what's important here now. I told people, don't worry about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's topped out. Like, that's, probability anyway. Bitcoin's topped out. I'm not worried about Bitcoin. I'm selling Bitcoin. I had orders to sell at 48 to 49. I was a little greedy. I had some up around 50 because the markets like to hit round numbers. So I thought it might hit 50. But I should have had those lower. So I'll sell off the rest of that. I got orders set between 45 and 46. But the chart I'm watching is ETH. And what we want for ETH is ETH to have a green weekly close. I'm a price action guy. I don't look at indicators. I read the candlesticks and buy the price action, especially when closes are happening, daily, weekly, especially. I pay attention to what is happening then. And I can tell you the bears are trying to push it down. Like, they're coming out at important times and trying to get small victories. And that's what they do. That's what traders and people that are these market participants all day, they're always testing, they're always probing, they're always trying to get these small victories on chart to see how far they can push it. And they're coming out, they're trying to push ETH down. They try to do it Sunday night during the weekly close. Even last night, they tried to push the candle below the midpoint like selling off into the close. Like those are signs showing you that like bears are they've been, they've got the floor waxed with them for the last several months, and this is finally their opportunity, and they're trying to step in the market and push price down. But ETH on chart, if it follows through with a green weekly close, there's really nothing in the way for it to hit 3,600. And I know that might sound crazy at the time. I mean, in markets like round numbers, so 3,000 is another possibility. But we want this weekly close to be green, even if it's a small bar. That's the way I look at it. That kind of confirms the breakout, because this last week's candle, I compared ETH to BCT price action, and the BTC price action is pretty bearish. But if you look at the chart of ETH, not so much. So you got the ETH looking pretty good on chart. You got the ETH to BTC valuation looking really good for ETH. And then you have to keep in mind, like when people talk about the market being overheated, these alts, they haven't even hit their highs that they were even last year. A lot of good alts. And so they still got room that they can, I don't think the alt market is overheated, any kind of blow off standpoint. So you have conditions favorable for an altcoin season, and there's opportunity cost because these conditions don't come up often. So, most of the things I bought lower anyway. There's very, very few buys that I'm down on. So for me, I'm just in a wait and hold seat right here and watching the ETH chart.
Okay, so that makes sense to me, but you said they tried to push the price down to force a weekly candle close, as they like who?
Bears. Yeah. I always talk in market in terms of bulls and bears.
Okay.
So yeah, bears are they're trying.
So it's not a coordinated group of whale traders that says, hey, look guys, let's dump this price right now so that this and that happens.
No, that's not how it works. No, that's why I know people think that it's a office up in Wall Street has some blueprint for all this and whatever, and I see these posts like 12K programmed in or $50 Solana programmed in. Nothing's programmed in. Nothing's a for sure. Like that doesn't mean it won't happen, but nothing's programmed in. The market's like a living thing. No matter how much you think BlackRock controls things, they don't. These guys are trying to take it from each other. I even talked about Vanguard in that video I did yesterday, because everyone's like BlackRock. That's all you ever hear. Vanguard is almost just as big as BlackRock. And these guys, I mean, if you ever watch the show Billions, like they're trying to take it from we don't have big enough pockets for these guys, like BlackRock and Fidelity and Vanguard. They need to get it from each other. So, it's not a coordinated effort or anything like that. It's traders. It's people who know how to read price action, and real day traders and traders in smaller time frames and stuff like that. And you kind of watch what they're doing and get a sense. And the reason I say that is because it's important when things happen. And the fact that I see them at these candle closes coming down and trying to sell, that means that they're trying to paint that chart a certain way. It's not, it's like I said, it's the fact that they're doing it like right at the daily close, right at the weekly close. Like that's not an accident.
Understand. And if you are, so you have a group, a Telegram group, a traders group, I think maybe you can describe a little bit better than me, but you basically have a group that identifies good small cap altcoin projects to ride for a little bit of time. You're also looking at price action, at stuff that you just mentioned, how bears and bulls behave. And as far as I could follow it until now, you did some pretty amazing calls there. Maybe you can just give a quick insight into what you're doing there, what basically your day-to-day is with the people that are in this group.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Holler. So it's really all things to make money in crypto. It's not just me. I'm like the leader, I guess you could say. But there's two other traders on my level that are in there. They're both really good. One guy, he's like a price action and ICT guy, and he gives like daily updates of like good projects, because people have these questions all the time. Is it a good time to buy? He's like, I'm more on a local level, if it's a good buy zone or sell zone. Then we have me and all the things that I put out, and the other guy, he's kind of in between me and the other guy. He puts out some daily stuff, and he puts out some things more like I do, and finding some coins. We focus a lot on finding new things. I screen if it comes out on ETH. Normally, I know about it. A lot of new AI coins we've done really well with. also you're seeing this like gasless narrative, I guess you could say, starting to develop, like these projects that are trying to do something to save around ETH gas fees. So we've done pretty good on some of those.
Like a
Airdrops,
0x gas or something like
yeah,
that.
0x is one, no gas
Yeah.
is another.
Yeah.
So some of those and some of these AI projects we've done well on. But I put out other stuff too, like normal moves, like, okay, this is or AI, or this is Matic, this is a more conservative thing, move. The other guy, one of the other guys I was referenced, he's made some really good calls. AI
Okay.
Tech, ML Layer. He's a Titan X guru.
For
So
who, for what people does it make sense to join the group? Like, is there a, if I want to capitalize from that, from all that knowledge, how much time do I have to spend in the group to get ready? And is there any limitation of capital that you need? Like, okay, because if you have to buy it on MetaMask all the time, then you need at least some Ethereum to cover the gas fees and the minimum price and stuff like that. Or is that like, hey, you can start with $50 and just take part in these calls?
So yeah, you can do that. We have, and we're still getting some things worked out and some of the kinks worked out and things like that. But it's really anything we could think of to make money in crypto. Airdrops, we got all the airdrop, like all the good airdrops. We got like 11 or 12 airdrop tutorials. So then the good airdrops, and then it's like exactly how to do them. You're not out there wasting your time searching for them or getting scammed, because that's what happens to people a lot during airdrop stuff, is they get scammed. So you can make well over your, airdrop season is coming to an end, I will say that, but you can make well over the admission just off the airdrop stuff. Then, like I said, all the new AI stuff that we have, all the new coins, the call, and I update things. So I know a lot of people that run these groups, they just put something out and then maybe they don't ever come back to it, update it. I'm always trying to circle back around and update. Also, we have lots of security stuff. If you're a new user, for sure, definitely, you'll gain a lot. If you're somebody that's in crypto a while and you think you already know like a lot, well, I don't really need that. I know what I'm doing out here. The low caps that we find are well worth your price of admission, because a lot of these things I come out with, you're not seeing those on other Twitter pages, like Palm AI and all these like early on Paladin AI. Like, you're not seeing a lot of these things that we make money on these other Twitter pages. So really, it all experience levels. There's a lot going on in there. There's a like an intro video that shows you how to navigate the channel, because there's a whole lot going on in there.
Yeah, so you heard it here. I see also a couple of people that are apparently in your group giving some positive feedbacks here. So you got your 5-star Amazon Prime ranking.
It's a real positive atmosphere in there. It's very positive. So the one thing I was gonna say, because you asked about the $50 thing, so we do have a service where we try to save on gas. It's a little clunky right now. We're still getting everything worked out. Say we find some new AI coin, you got like $100 you want to put on it or something, but then the ETH gas fees alone could be like $20 to $30. So it's like hard for me to make a small investment on that. So it's like an escrow service where 5 guys go in with a set target. Like, say we're looking for 3x or 5x. And there's dApps now where you can set limit orders on Uniswap. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. So the 5 of you put your $100 together, and then you split the gas in and out 5 ways. So now you're not getting hit with that gas fee. Now the escrow guy, he does get like 10% of the profit at the end of the sale, but that's like 2% per person. So you save well more on gas, and then you don't even have to do anything. So if you're new and you don't know how to use Uniswap and everything like that, then there you go. That's something to try to save on gas fees. And like I said, we've done it a few times, and we also do it with NFTs, because NFTs can be a big purchase, and you want exposure to them, but you want to limit your risk, because say like a Solana NFT, like $1,000 or something, that's a lot for a speculative asset on a Solana NFT, but you could probably stomach $200 more. So then you split it with 5 people with an agreed upon target, or you make a side group and it acts like a DAO, and when the majority wants to sell, then it sells.
Okay, so as a final one for the group topic, Dino here says, Dino Dragon says here, I'd like to join. How can people get in touch to then join? What do they have to do?
I sent you my link to put in the description. I don't know if you did or not, but Danny the Bull, he's an admin in there. So Danny I see him in the comments. Just hit him up. He'll get you set up. Danny the Bull's part of it. Yeah, there's 6 guys who run it, and then 2 other contributors who also make something off of it. So it's certainly not just me. It's a lot of people involved. Giving all this alpha and doing all the research and such things. I think every last thing I'll say about it, I think everyone's like main thing they're worried about is I don't want to bag hold. That above everything else, I don't want to bag hold in the next cycle. All right, so I'm somebody that has a long reputation of buying bottoms and selling tops. So just say I fail. Well, we got the other guy, say the ICT guy, and then we got the other guy I mentioned as well. So all 3 of us have to fail, and then we have an expensive indicator. I mean, I don't use indicators, but we have it, and it's an expensive one. It's like $2,000 for a year. So that we have that as well as like a fail safe. So 4 levels, of things have to fail. I mean, the fact I'm telling you to sell Bitcoin right now shows you I'm not a permeable. Like, I'm not scared to sell. I'm not going to just say, hey, buy. No, hey, start this. At some point, you need to switch gears. We're going to sell this shit.
At one point, you have to sell. And I think that's the most painful lesson that everyone makes when they first start in crypto. And they always start, including me, in a bull run. And then you hold your stuff because you think it's going to the moon from there. But we are already on the moon. We just bought from someone else who went to the moon. And so that's great. And be assured, guys, I will also join this group. And let's see what we can do this cycle. But with that said, so you day in, day out, you deal with crypto, with charts, with fundamentals, with altcoin projects. You are even interviewing founders like the one of Metacade, which you have on your YouTube channel. So let's use all that knowledge and talk about everyone's favorite shitcoin here, which is Ecomi, right? So, I mean, everyone is here because of the giveaway. I understand, but the second reason everyone is here because of our Ecomi coin, and they want to know what's going on with Ecomi. So let's start off with a quick one. Ecomi and VeVe, how did you find it? Why are you part of the community?
I found through Omi. A lot of people ask me this question. I honestly don't know how I came across it, but it was shortly before the Uniswap listing. So I made good on that, but I didn't buy a whole lot. And then, because of the way it was on chart, I didn't buy. I thought it was going to keep going down, and it did. And then, so I feel a lot of people bought a lot the period I'm talking about, that summer lull in the bull market, where Omi was at like 0.002 to 0.003 for most of it. That's when I bought the most of it.
After the big dump from 1 point something cents?
Yeah, so I sold it when I bought because it was like some of these things I do now. I find I didn't make a huge buy. I knew it was getting listed on Uniswap. I thought the project was extremely promising, but I didn't go like crazy on it. But that Uniswap candle was huge, so I made good on that. And then because of the way the price action looked, I didn't buy it once it was up there. Just one thing led to another. It ended up going down. Then I got really into it.
Yeah, that's also when I more or less bought. I think it was around the 0.002 range. I bought, and I felt like a genius because it went up to 0.005, and then beyond. I think up to 0.008 or something like that. It went up, and it was moving like this during all the Disney thing and so on. And I was just worried that I wouldn't become an millionaire, right? I was just, I have to get to the 1 million Omi at this point, right? And I think many people felt the same. But since then, and we will in short look at the chart, I guess, so that you can tell us a little bit about what you see there. But a lot of people probably felt the same. And then just after Christmas, after that whole Disney golden moments went through, it just fell through the floor back down to 0.002 and beyond, and now we are where we are. We have 0.006 or something like that. So what happened to the token? What is your take on when we came down from this mid-range, so to say, between all-time high and where we were such a long time? What happened to the token?
Well, Well, bear market starts. The party's got to be over sometime. I put out on Twitter a few times. I have it bookmarked on Twitter where I had said it was like a double top on the weekly being confirmed, and I said we're probably heading down to 003s, and people thought I was crazy. But I saw the writing on the wall, and I did sell out of a bit. So I sold at the eights, most of it, and then I bought it back at like between 006 and 0065. So then when it was breaking that level and I thought it was confirmed on higher time frames, I'm like, I had to sell this, but I didn't want to sell it all because I'm just thinking like, what if, so I did, if you want to call it back hold, I knew better, but I did it anyway. And a lot of people, the problem they have with selling is, so this situation I just described, they got this price in their head when it was up at 008, or even that I bought it at 006, 0065 or whatever. And they're like, well, I'm not going to sell now. That's like losing, they calculate the number on what they saw their unrealized gains as, and that's how they end up bag holding. You have to, if the chart's telling you that, then it is what it is. It doesn't really matter what you want or what you want to happen or what you would like to happen. That's hopium. If it's telling you this, then you gotta just you gotta do it. But I took it as a lesson learned because I didn't sell it all, and then I was holding this Omi down in the bear market as it continued to slide, and that's just not what I generally do. So I took it as a lesson, because I understand it's an emotional project because it does have a lot of catalysts, and that even at that time, and I knew better, and I'm experienced, and I was still like sucked in by all these things a little bit.
Understand. And so that means you still have a little bit of the Omi that you held?
No, I've been.
Oh, it's already gone. Okay. So if someone says now, Ron, I think I made a mistake. I'm down bad, 90% down from there, or I don't know what. I feel like I should be selling. If you're looking in the charts right now, and maybe you want to pull them up to tell us what you see, and then we will discuss a little bit more into fundamentals and stories around Ecomi in a second. But maybe you can show us what you see. What would you tell such a person that thinks about selling right now?
Well, so before I bring up the chart, because I get asked this, almost daily, and the thing that's intriguing about Omi is I just come across so many people who are like, nah, it's 50% of my holding, 70% of my holding. I only have Omi, I hear that so much. So for people that are like that, I say I'm down 90%. I actually wouldn't tell you to sell it all and get rid of it. No, you held it that long. You feel terrible if they come out with Pokemon and a thing pumped or something like that. I get it. However, you probably want to think about diversifying. And that's what I normally recommend to people to do, is diversify into other projects, because Omi is not a slam dunk home run like a lot of people think. Nothing is. And like, I like Medicaid a lot, and I bring that up a lot, and not getting into a big thing about Medicaid, but the reason is like a tokenomics. Like, show me another gaming project that's like top shelf level quality, good team, and it's all in circulating supply in its first market cycle. That's the thing with these gaming tokens, that they either do the node release or have some kind of funky tokenomics or whatever, where they're getting unlocked all the time. So these gaming projects are promising, but they dump a lot of tokens on the market. Medicaid doesn't do that. They're all in circulating supply for this market cycle. I would not recommend you to go, max 15%, and that's straight. Like, I wouldn't say that's because nothing in this market is a for sure. It's not a for sure we're going to have a golden bull run and all this stuff's going to do anything. Like, you have to prepare yourself for that. You don't know that for sure. So I just think that people, the risk management they use with Omi is insanely ludicrous, just unbelievable.
Okay, that is understood, and I hope that, not everyone in the community does this the same way. We know there are 100% Omi bags in the community, and as you said, diversification is possible, but and there are a lot of people that are apparently believing that Omi is going to a couple of dollars or so in the next run. But maybe we can clarify a little bit more over the charts. I don't know if you were ready to show them or not yet, or did you want to get into something else first?
I mean, I can show the chart on me. When you're talking about these macro things, though, like these targets for bull market that people want, the chart's not really going to help. Like,
yeah.
So there's on chart, you may have heard the term lagging indicator a lot. Like indicators are lagging. So there's only a few things you can use as like a leading indicator, like something that maybe I could project on chart, to like show what price would be. Measured moves off patterns is one. Pivot points is one. A Fibonacci extension is another. But that's not really going to show you like a whole lot of like those kind of projections. That's more about like market cap math. Now, a good thing about Omi is all in circulating supply. When people talk about, because I had these conversations a lot, and they're like, well, it's because I think Omi's going to do 100x or 200x or whatever. All right, then why you need so much of it? Because that's being greedy. That goes back to what I said earlier in the stream. If it's this home run then if you're putting all your eggs in that basket, then that's being greedy.
Yeah.
I think Medicaid is very promising, but nowhere near do I have all my eggs in a Medicaid basket. I have it as one of my top holds, along with Rio or Gains for a Living, and other projects like that. Mask, I consider some of those blue chips for the blue market, for the bull market.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said, okay, the chart will not help us to tell if Omi gets to $5 or something like that.
I'll bring it up. Sorry, I'll bring it up.
Maybe the chart will tell us something, and we will be open-minded to see that. And guys, we have almost 80 people watching us right now. So while we are bringing the chart up here, make sure to smash up the like button. Go ahead, smash the like. And then we start with the chart here, what Ron pulled up. I'm really curious to see that, and I have some questions in mind about the chart that I want to ask you. So, but tell us what you see.
So when I look at crypto, I don't make any secret about this. I look at weekly and daily time frames. That's simple. I don't concern myself too much at the start of the New York Open. At 15-minute and hourly candles, I don't worry about. I really don't worry about the price until 7 o'clock in the evening when the daily close is, and that's really only if there's volatility. So for Omi, I said you could take like measure moves off of patterns, and a lot of people know about this falling wedge, and I'm gonna draw it in like the most bullish way possible to try to get the biggest measured move. I'm gonna draw it in two ways, because there's two ways you could kind of draw it. This would be like, I guess you could say, the lesser of the two. Then some people might could say, well, you could draw it from over here. Ultimately, it doesn't make a huge difference, but it does make a little bit of a difference, because you're going to take from here to here or from here to here and see like what that measures out to be once it breaks out. So,
but one question, isn't that the logarithmic chart right now?
I don't think it matters for this.
Okay.
So that gets you like 5-7 off the smaller wedge, and if you use the larger wedge, like 7-6 thereabouts at those highs. So for one thing, that's not good, because if you have a measure move that kind of smacks into macro resistance like that, then you're going to have people taking profit off the measure move, and you're going to have people selling at the macro resistance. That's why a lot of my thing with Omi is that so it's really the best way to word this. So I still like Omi through the bear market. I liked Omi okay. I mean, I wasn't holding it or anything like that, but I thought Omi was okay through the bear market. I still thought that it was a good hold, or not a good hold, but like it still had potential and all these things. Now, once I started to feel the writing was on the wall for the upcoming bull market, I started to feel this way around late spring, early summer. A lot of gaming projects started to come out. That's when I really shift my gears, instead of trying to trade Bitcoin to building spot bags of these good projects, playable games, Gains for a Living, Rio, all those kinds of things, Myria. Then when everybody else was worrying about the daily volatility of Bitcoin. And that's when I had to really assess Omi. And as I'm putting more funds back in the market to build spot bags, and said, it's not there. It doesn't make sense. Like Omi doesn't make sense anymore. The market cap was too high. It was overvalued in relative to other projects of its kind. And I'm like Gala, I was much more harsh on Gala. It's not that I hated Omi, but I mean, that's been proven right. I said Omi was overvalued, and I thought that at that time that I would have been a buyer or bullish on it at like a 40 to 60 million dollar market cap, when it was like 160 or something like that. So I just felt it was overvalued for that time of the market. And it's all about a timing thing. And that's why these things have to happen. Like, it doesn't matter if whose fault it is or anything like that. Like, I'm gonna share this if I could, Hodler.
Yeah.
Do you see that on screen?
Go ahead. I saw that. I showed that on my Crypto Morning Coffee stream as well.
So people should know who Jeremy Paddleware is. I think he has the Pokemon license. I mean, he was a big Omi advocate last bull market. And I seen him post this. And I saved these tweets. And the important thing he's saying here: this is a sprint, not a marathon.
Yeah,
that's kind of my point. It doesn't matter whose fault what was, or where you're located, or whatever. It doesn't matter. You either are or you aren't. And they have to get these things going now. I mean, you might say the bull market's got a lot of time in it. Yeah, maybe. But you're going to have to break through levels of price action. It's been out of market cycle. Just because something's been out of market cycle doesn't mean I don't like it, but I do prefer things that haven't. But just because it's been on a market cycle, that's not a death sentence by any means. But you can't ignore that either. So like, I look at like a lot of psychology and things like that when I do all these investing and trading. And there's something called Bayes' theorem, and it talks about base rates and things. So when so there's a few ways you can explain this. So if something is outside of a base rate, then you should take extreme caution in like considering that. So some analogies that you hear about base rates a lot is, say you have some obscure disease, or you test positive for some obscure disease, where the chances of you getting that disease are actually less than you testing positive of that test. That's just some examples you see about it a lot. So just because you tested positive for the disease doesn't mean you have it. It's actually less probability you have it because the test is probably wrong. Okay. I know that may not seem exactly like Omi, but these things you could get a lot of analogies for them. So Omi is way off the base rate of something that I would consider a great bull market hold. Now, that doesn't mean it won't do good. And trust me, I understand all these catalysts and that can still come together. But the fact that they didn't do any of it for the bull market, and I did some research on my own, and I talked to a lot of people in the community. I talked to people who you consider base pro VeVe and Ecomi. I talked to people that you would consider more base anti. And everybody actually told me I could say their name. I'm not going to, because I don't want, it's such an emotional space out there with VeVe and Ecomi that I don't want to say the name. I don't want people to say, oh, well, you talk to this person, I've seen them. They don't, everybody was real base. So for example, the pro VeVe people that I talked to, they were not under any kind of delusion that this is a slam dunk for sure. Those guys weren't. They said, I acknowledge some of these risks, but I still believe in all the catalysts that are there. And that's fair. That's fair,
So if you see that some of these people like Jeremy are maybe not turning bearish in itself, but say we're moving too slow, and you consider what you're seeing in the charts, do you think that, or is there anything that implies from your perspective a reversal already, or are we still in risk to just dump lower and lower, just find new lows?
I think as long as BTC doesn't downtrend and go to lower prices, then I think the low is in for Omi. I've said that a few times.
Okay.
I think the low is in, but the market cap is still kind of high in relative to other projects of its type. But it is all in circulating supply. That's a good thing. Yeah. One thing that I gather from talking to some people and like some pro VeVe people is that they have some stock backgrounds as well. And they talk about, you know, this stock was low and I stuck with it for a while. And that's some of my actually kind of like anti, if you want to call it, it's not, I don't want to word it like that. Because it's not that I don't like Omi or VeVe. I look, if it does a 100 whatever, I'd be ecstatic for all my friends that have it. And if it got on that kind of fire, I'm sure I would get on it and make something off of it. But I would love for it to do that. I'm not anti whatever. And I know I had that stream with Jordan and Crypto Rain and some of these guys, and some people talked about some of my reactions. So anything I say up here is not directed to anybody. I'm not about any kind of drama. I'm just saying my honest, assessment of what I see. And, if people are like, well, who are you? Well, I'm somebody who traded Omi for 60 days with 0 losses. I've called when it broke the structure to go down. I called the low twice. I got some proven history in this game. So not that I'm always going to be right or anything like that, but I'm not just some random guy, with some Omi thoughts. But I was saying about the guys with the stock, that yes, that it would be true if it was a stock, but it's not. And it's a finite window, somewhat finite, that it needs that it's got to get those gains. If any past indication of crypto is what the future is going to be, then it's only got a little bit of a window. And that's why, like Jeremy Padaware said, it's a sprint. Like, and it doesn't matter the reasons. You can say with a lawsuit or they're in New Zealand or whatever the case is. It doesn't matter the reasons. It either is or it isn't,
Okay, so understood. You don't see too much risk of new lows. Is Omi covered in your group as well, or doesn't really play a role anymore?
Yeah, we have an Omi and VeVe channel because so many people in the group like it. So yeah, and I'll hop in there. If somebody asks me a question about Omi, I can't be like technical analysis on demand every time somebody wants to know about a chart. But if somebody tags me in there, me or one of the other guys, we'll try to do some things. And through some of these points that I'm talking to the community, some of the points on both sides, I think ultimately they kind of don't even matter. But there's a lot of psychological things here at play. A lot of people that I got to re-diversify from Omi, I sent them a video on something called the sunken cost fallacy. And it has to do with holding on to losses and bad relationships. It's harder to cut away from those. And it's not that Omi's bad. Don't take it like that. But when you watch a video on it, what it does, it makes people realize like they're talking about me, like the thoughts that I was feeling and all these things. So all these psychological concepts that I keep aware of while I'm doing this, the reason I'm stay aware of it is because we're all human. So like if you suffer from that sunken cost fallacy, it's not that anything's wrong with you or you're less smart than me or anybody else. That's not it. It's that we all experience these things, and the best you can do is be aware of them. That's the best you can do. So when it comes to base rates, when it comes to the sunken cost fallacy, when it comes to confirmation bias, I see a lot of that out there in the community.
In general, I think there's a very old video out there from about an hour with Charlie Munger, where he talks about I think 50 biases or something like that. Also pretty interesting to check yourself where you make some assumptions like confirmation bias. Super interesting stuff. And I think that's exactly where we can all learn so much, because I think everyone that is just moving without too much clue in that market needs to check the bias from time to time, and also learn to cut loose from lost causes, as you said. Now, we have heard a lot of negativity, but also it's the truth, right, about Ecomi. Not really milestones there. Nothing happened over 3 years. The price is down bad. It didn't react to the recent pumps, also maybe because the narrative is not in the right spot yet. Is there something, or what would you say is bullish about Ecomi? You mentioned already, okay, it has the circulating supply is defined, it's limited, it's not deflationary maybe yet, but are there some things that make you bullish on Ecomi, and maybe also only on VeVe, on the VeVe collectibles?
Sure. I mean, so I almost have like a checklist that I go down when I look at projects, and one of the things is partnerships. So the partnerships are second to none, with people in the space. Disney and Marvel. Now, I will, put a little bit of an asterisk beside that those companies aren't what they were a few years ago. Doesn't mean that they're going down or anything like that. They're not. That Disney is not going down, and they can turn it around. But they did try to interject themselves in some kind of politics. And I'm not opening up a topic about politics or anything. But when you do that, you're going to isolate some people, and their stock hasn't done well. Their movies have been flopping. Disney isn't exclusive to VeVe anymore. I think Marvel's relationship is real strong with them. I think Marvel will continue to be, exclusive to VeVe. DC, everybody knows they're an IP whore. They'll give their IP to anybody. So it's also not as exclusive as it was last market, but that's still, they still have the IP is very impressive. All the partnerships they have, no doubt.
However, all the IP is basically only benefiting the VeVe app in itself as a business model, but Ecomi is not a stock to VeVe, and therefore Ecomi holders are not entitled to dividends from that and are not really benefiting out of revenues. So the IPs are making me also bullish on the entire project of VeVe, but since Ecomi is kind of detached, it makes me wonder, right? Is it really something that affects?
Yeah, you mind if I share my screen again?
Yes. 1 second. Let's go. Okay. We see Orbis Technology.
Yeah, that's what their name is now. So this is all the papers that they filed with the New Zealand government. And for anybody who thinks I'm about to drop some dirt, just get your head out the gutter. This isn't about that. But this is public knowledge, so I don't feel like I'm doxing anybody here either. Like this is where I got this info from.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to get.
What did you find?
I'm showing you. Just getting there. So can you see that? The shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a lot of people ask about, can you buy stock? Because feel like I want to buy stock in it. All right. Yeah. So you can't do that. It's a private company in New Zealand, but this is who does own the stock in it. And that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like I'm doxing anybody because this is public knowledge. So, all right, the top, davidyu, we know that. Then Dan Crowlers, and they own the vast majority of it. And then you see at number 4, Altcoin. We all are familiar with who he is and what he brings to the table. But what I'm surprised, and there's a lot of YouTubers for this project, but so maybe somebody's talked about him, but I've never seen anyone talk about this guy right here. And I don't want to pronounce his name wrong. I guess it's Hongbo and then XU. He's Chinese, and I think he's kind of important to all this when you dig into VeVe and Ecomi. So can you see it? I'm on the medium screen.
Yeah.
So for anybody who thinks I'm about to say something bad about this guy, I'm not. He's smarter than anybody watching the stream right now. And this article is old. It's from 2018. So he's actually he's above Altcoin in the shareholders. So we know Altcoin had an active role in negotiating the partnerships. So I think anyone that high in the hierarchy is probably, this guy's probably actively involved to some extent. So I'm gonna read some of the things about him. So continuing the success of Hongbo's company, InnoHub Capital has earned him a place among the top 10 angel investors in all of China. A founding member of the National Chinese Blockchain Coalition, founder of Shenzhen Blockchain Association, a member of China National Blockchain. He has formed a partnership with the National China Academy, a subsidiary of the China SEC, to provide in-depth blockchain training to decision makers. Some of the let me go back to the this one more time. I'm going to come back to Hongbo.
That guy is killing it in China.
Yeah, he's extremely smart. So, and then this guy right here, he's like a prominent business guy. He's been in all kinds of businesses. I couldn't find anything on this person. And then this person, he's with Hongbo and some of his other businesses. And I got links for all that. I don't think anybody really cares too much, but I got links to all this guy's businesses and Hongbo. If I'm pronouncing his name wrong, then forgive me, Mr. Hongbo. But he's blockchain, all kinds of stuff. And so people who are pro VeVe and Ecomi right now be like, wow, this guy, when I sit back and look at it. So one thing that gets brought up a lot are these real NFTs or whatever. And before anybody, roast me in the comments, let me finish what I'm going to say. So I had to say that as like other NFTs that are on OpenSea and everything like that, no, they're not. Ultimately, I don't think it would really matter. That the problem is, and this, I'm not saying anything new, everybody knows this, they have to connect to crypto. If they want funds to come in, they can connect to crypto or sell digital toys and die. Basically, they have to connect to crypto. So I think that they're designed in such a way. And, I had other people look at these things, guys. I had blockchain experts. I know devs and other crypto projects. I know other people to check these things out. And they did tell me that they feel the way that they're minted on chain, that they're not coming off that app. So I don't think you're going to see them on OpenSea or IMX Marketplace. That doesn't mean that they can't go up in value. That does not mean that because it's almost like an escrow service on VeVe, if you want to call it that. It is a gated way, so people are less likely to get scammed. Mm-hmm. So there is some value to that, but a lot of crypto heads, they're not going to like it. And if you look at, VeVe had a bull run without that. No, they didn't, because they had a back door into crypto. And even if you look at that time, and I found some numbers to this, OpenSea during that time on like their biggest day, I have it up here. It was like, I don't want to misquote the number, but if you look at what VeVe did for a month, it wasn't even as much as OpenSea in one day in that. So even though I don't doubt that the IP has power for sure, without them taking it off the platform, it'll never be what it could be. At least in my opinion. And so how this guy relates to that, you can't claim ignorance for anything blockchain related. None, because this guy is a freaking expert at that space. So anything, the way the NFTs are minted, anything with Omi, you cannot claim blockchain ignorance with this guy being the third biggest shareholder. And Alcon is 4, and he was actively involved. So I have to imagine this guy is more than just an angel investor. And the way it's structured to me with VeVe, and I had other business people look at this, and some of these devs and business people I had look at it, they don't even know what Omi or VeVe is. They said, the structure is more to pay the shareholders and things. But, it doesn't mean that Omi can't go up and VeVe can't go up. But I don't think that it's what it was when we found it a few years ago.
Okay. So it's super interesting. Also, the info with Hongbo, I remember that I have looked at only the shareholders, but I did not find this Medium article. So very good find, in my opinion. And absolutely everyone look at these names by yourself. Maybe someone else finds something interesting about the people. What stands out to me is that he's so successful. Even though he's a blockchain guy, he is super successful in China, which is usually known to us as hates all blockchain, banned Bitcoin from the country, and doesn't want to have anything to do with it. But as far as I know, the authorities in China are scared of applications and exchanges and everything that have currencies that could maneuver fund resistance or maneuver around the established system. So maybe that has something to do with the way that VeVe is structured, so that they would have a chance, because I'm pretty certain that you cannot access OpenSea in China. Pretty certain that you cannot trade stuff like that in China. But maybe if there is no blockchain relation whatsoever on VeVe, maybe that makes it then possible to use a VeVe exchange in China. That could be.
But they still can't use it in China, right?
How?
They still can't use it in China, right?
At the moment, not. But as far as I saw during 2023, they opened up a possibility for NFTs in China. That was pretty big news, I think. As long as there are, and then 99% of all currencies are not involved, so cryptocurrencies.
And it said he's like an advisor to the Chinese government. So I mean, that's a good connection. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah. This is this InnoChain website where there's not a token involved in it. Not that I could tell. That this shows a little whatever. So, maybe that's his take on it, that he's a blockchain guy, and then tokens aren't really his thing. This is another thing associated with him, this centrality, and this got an office in New Zealand. This is one of the other people up there that the Shenzhen blockchain thing, another person that has some holdings. So another thing I did is look at like the collectible market. So because a lot of people were saying like, well, it's digital collectibles, that's gonna be a big thing. And I agree that like anytime generally that a big like something comes out that's digital and there's a physical version of it, normally the digital is going to win. But if they don't connect to crypto, and it goes back to what we've been talking about, that these things are time sensitive. It's not like I'm going to buy and hold for 3 years and be fine. It's not a stock. At least that's how crypto is showing us it's going to operate to this point. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit.
Yeah, the collectibles, the VeVe collectibles.
Oh yeah. So, all right. So if they don't connect to crypto in time, can they be bullish on the collectibles alone? And I started looking at like, do collectibles have market cycles and all these kinds of things? And I don't even think y'all want me to bring up the links I found for that. But I don't think that that's something that you want to bank on, like counting on that. Okay, well, mass adoption through just digital collectibles is going to be the way. It needs to be through crypto. And that's why when you had the backdoor gem market, it doesn't matter what your opinions are of it. It's fact that people could roll profits from crypto into VeVe. Like, I bought a bit of Solana between $8 to $12. And when it was up at 100, I was doing degen stuff like buying NFTs or whatever. And that's what people do. So the fact that you can't roll crypto profits into it, you could send it to your bank and then put people aren't generally speaking going to do that. I mean, people that are into it will, but to get new people into it, I really think, they're going to need to connect to crypto, and that's just bottom line, what it is.
I 100% agree with you. And if crypto degenerate altcoin season profit taking meets with the crypto cash in the scarcity of some of these collectibles in the VeVe app, that would send some very quickly up. I mean, we saw it in the previous bull run on the app, that secret rare comics were going from couple of $100 or gems valuation to 8, 10, 12,000 or even beyond, depending on which type of comic it was. And now the same comic that was at $10,000 sits at 500, 400, or even less than that at the moment. And yes, there's no liquidity coming into the market, which also has to do something with how the market is built. And I think you mentioned also the economy within the app without that crypto cash in. Yeah, the gem. I call it the broken gem economy. Yeah. You call it the gemonomics.
Gemonomics. Yeah, I mean, so that's an issue as well, and everybody's well versed on that. It just doesn't all reconcile right. But the thing, the way I see it, they could fix all this with Omi. Like Omi could help reconcile some of these gem issues when people start transacting in Omi. But just my personal opinion, I don't think that they want to do that. Now maybe they do. I hope I'm wrong. That's just my personal opinion. So that based off some of these things, I've this guy, with the blockchain guy. So anything they want to do blockchain, they have the resources and know-how and those kinds of things. They had it set up for Omi originally and then changed from that. And matter of fact, with the MTL thing, I cut them a huge break on that. I looked up, and New Zealand have some of the strictest anti-money laundering laws in the world. So the time period that they got that done, considering where they were, I thought that was pretty good, considering. But I would have to imagine it's easier to get a license to be a crypto broker and not deal with fiat, because you see that like it's very rare that you see, or it's not too many exchanges that have fiat on and off ramps. So, but there's lots of exchanges that just deal in crypto. So if there was just a crypto thing, then I think that it would have. But I understand they want to open it up to the average person. But I think you have to get the crypto thing hammered down first, and then open it up to the average person, not the other way around.
I think so too. And I mean, most of the people that are here somehow found VeVe through Omi. That was at least what some polls showed on Twitter, and what people generally mention. So Omi in a bull run integrated into VeVe would lead a lot of people into the VeVe app. Doesn't matter if it's a walled garden or not, and they will bring some money into the app. I think the biggest problem is, as you said, we're at so many points that we see, okay, there are people that are shareholders of Orbis. There's davidyu thinking about anti-money laundering laws, or Dan, or whoever, but no one can really wrap their head around what they are actually doing. So, or what they have in mind. So there's they said they promised a lot and they didn't hold the promises, and they always say, okay, we talked too much, we overpromised, but no one really communicated what the end goal is, the direction will be in the end, right? Because you could, for example, tell your community, look, we cannot implement the Omi token at the moment because we are getting kicked from the Apple Store and the Play Store if we implement it into the standard app. So you can still implement it in the web app, right? So
yeah, and some of it goes back to, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, but I'll say, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody or anybody in the community or anything like that, but I've never seen, and I'm on other projects, again, Twitter Spaces, and listen to AMAs. I never hear another community talk so much about worried about being classified as a security.
Yeah.
No.
Other communities don't care.
Well, I think it's sometimes better ask for forgiveness than permission. I mean, do you think they're that important that people in the U.S. Congress are like focusing on Omi being classified as, no, the things they worry about, like Matic or Solana or things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've heard the lawsuit. Somebody I talked to said they really feel like the lawsuit is what's holding them back. Once again, it goes back to, well, it just doesn't really matter. And it's not that I think it's bad. It's just like I said, when I go through these things, I'm looking for new projects to build spot bags of. Here's another question you ask yourself. If whatever your value of Omi is, just say you have $20,000 or something like that. If you opened up your wallet tomorrow or your exchange balance or whatever, and you saw you had 20,000 USDT and 0 in Omi, would you put the whole 20,000 back in Omi? That's one way you can think about it. I just feel and I know the point I was saying with Randy on that other stream when I asked him for the extreme bullish case, and I was saying 20 billion as being like an extreme bullish case. That even in that situation, that would be like, I think it was like 120x for Omi, where Medicaid at a $2 billion market cap would be that. Like, what do you think is more realistic, Medicaid to hit 2 billion or Omi to hit 20 billion? And that's if you're being like, don't put your confirmation bias aside, because I don't have a confirmation bias about Medicaid. I just use it as a general example because it's a gaming project. Gaming projects can do well. It has everything in circulating supply, so it's easy to do the math on. So it's not that I know for sure Medicaid would do better than Omi, but if you look at base rates and all logical thinking, yeah, it should. But if you think Omi's this flyer that is just like this incredible thing with like a really high potential, then you don't need a whole lot of it. You don't need to go all crazy ham and have 50+% of your bag that.
I think so if I hear predictions, and I want to go back to around the Ecomiverse, because it was really like a moment where my brain exploded. It was like when you said that in an extreme bullish case, 20 billion could be possible. I was like, yo, I didn't expect that, because in my mind already 20 billion would be relatively far away, and they have to do a lot of, obviously, if they bring Omi to NFT and put it on some exchanges, I think then it can happen, right? But then the rest said, okay, it's more like $100 to $200 billion.
Matter of fact, and no way am I taking a shot at Randy Chavez, but I was kind of saying like, that's what you would think 20, like as somebody in the project, like you would consider 20 billion. So I wouldn't have considered the extreme bullish case for Omi. So I was kind of saying that in relative terms to him as well.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of people take shots at him online about how much money he's lost on Omi. Well, he had $1 million in the first place to lose it. So a lot of these people taking shots at him, you know, like, what do you got? You know, because he had to lose. And the fact that, you know, I've heard him talk before that he said like he was in high risk lending or whatever. What that shows you right there, he's got a high risk for high appetite for risk. So because that's risky. So you know he made money off that. You know this is risky. Doesn't mean that he'll make money off of it. But I hope he does. I hope Omi does good and everybody does well. I mean, I guess I consider myself more or less part of the Omi community just because that's the people I knew when I started making friends and talking to people on Twitter. So to this day, you know, most of the people I know, I mean, look, I'm on your stream. So, you know, I'm not, you know, I know people in the community, I guess the best way to say it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. Once again, we are not taking shots at the people. It's just interesting to see that some people have these, in our eyes, wild price predictions. I think you showed it in the charts before. If you take this breakout target where we would work a really hard resistance, I think that would be more than a 10x. So I think no one at this point, no one in this chat probably will be unhappy with that if the Omi back goes back to what was that 0072 or something like that. Nevertheless, to get a 10x, you could also move the money into a less riskier project, or at least in our eyes, or a less riskier project. But if you propose a $100 billion market cap, then obviously the history is different. The question is what was there first, how many X's you need, and then you calculate the market cap up, or was there the real possibility of reaching, because 100 billion is still, even in these inflationary times, a ton of money that needs to come into such a project.
Yeah, that'd be over 1,000x for Omi on this market cycle, like something in a second market cycle doing that. And then you look at like what other companies are on that kind of market cap. You know, I certainly don't see those numbers, regardless of the adoption or whatever you get with crypto.
I think Ecomi would perform better if it was on a couple of exchanges more, because then it would just have more exposure to a user base. And we know that there are a lot of people out there that are only sitting at one exchange and they only buy what is in the list of the coins that are offered there. What do you think? So security, being security or not, is obviously not the reason why the exchanges don't list Ecomi. What do you think is the reason why we are not on more exchanges by now?
I mean, ask yourself the question, like, why wouldn't they be on an exchange after all this time? They don't, I don't know the answer, but I know what I would think myself. And this isn't a shot at Omi. I don't, you know, like I said, I'm not anti-Omi at all, but if it was any other project and had been out this long and they weren't on an exchange, it's because they don't want to be. And the fact that there's other these other revenue things, that makes the case worse, because they're making money. It's not that the project is dead. They're making money, which is fine. That's not, look, they're running a business here. What do you want them to not make money? You know, like those stockholders, they get dividends. So another thing, you said something about the people on that list. I saw in a video, somebody pointed out, not in that list, but that one of the people that on that list, named Emily Lee, I think her name was, that she was somebody davidyu gave a gold VeVe logo to, or two, and she dumped them on the market and whatever. So, and that's the point I want to address, because this is one of these examples where, you know, both sides just kind of, so that probably did happen, but I do not, she's a shareholder. She's probably a friend with davidyu. You don't know the situations or circumstances he gave her that the same way you give a friend, a work friend or whatever. I don't think he said, hey, Emily, you need 5,000, you need 5K. I tell you what, I'll give you these 2 gold VeVe logos and you go dump them on Johnny VeVe over here for the 5K or whatever. You know, I don't think that's how it went down. And that's how, you know, people let these things mess with their head. People let these things mess with their head or whatever. And you know, at the end, it just doesn't really, some of these points don't really matter. Like I talked to, some people sent me really long messages and things like that. And yeah, I would like to bring up all these points, you know, and talk about each one of them. And at the end of the day, some of them just, it doesn't really matter. Like the whole, are they NFTs or not? if you could take these off the platform and sell them on an IMX marketplace using IMX for gas or something like that man, this thing would go crazy. But I don't think they want to do that. I think they want to make sure that the royalties stay on VeVe because it's already a big issue out there on NFT marketplaces with royalties. Anybody who knows about that kind of thing knows that's a big issue, like the royalty-free thing and stuff like that. So I imagine if they had those talks with these other platforms, that was an issue to kick back royalties to these IPs. I don't know that for sure, but I would have to assume that, given how royalties is already an issue in NFT marketplaces.
I can tell you exactly why Ecomi is not on marketplaces, on exchanges, because of the fathers. No, just joking, because I don't know if you got this from davidyu when he basically said fathers are to blame for that no exchange wants to list
Now you say
at
that,
the moment.
yeah. Now that you say,
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. When you hear things like that, like I don't know, it just makes you.
Yeah, but I think the truth is that technically the Ecomi, VeVe team, Orbis, I don't know who, has to probably approach 10 exchanges and say, look, what's the price for getting listed? They will name a price and then you get listed. It's just, yeah, I think that would be a simple truth. And probably no one went after that because they thought they get Guerrilla listed like from Gate.io anyways, so they don't have to pay. But I think it's necessary, at least around the halving or when there's some bull action coming for altcoins, to pump these filings out to get listed. Because I mean, we see it with Bonk, we see it with I don't know what meme coin, that where these exchanges want to tap into the liquidity of the community.
So, but I can talk about, and I mentioned this on the other stream too, I think, because I know people are always saying, well, this meme called Bonk or Pepe just running up, and Omi users are like, how is Pepe on Binance and we aren't? And that question is actually easier to answer than what you would think, because these meme coins, they're made for one purpose: to make money for a community that made them, or devs or whatever it was. That is their only purpose.
Yeah.
So davidyu has overhead. Regardless of what you think his intentions with Omi are, he has overhead. So any money that's generated from the token is only used to make more money. So if that's what the exchange listens, then that's what those people running the token are going to do with it. And that's why I don't like meme coins for like longer term holds. I only like meme coins for short to mid term holds, because eventually there's no utility and there's just nothing there. But, you know, while it's running up and while they're trying to spend these funds to make more money, sure, get on the train, you know.
100%. So we are already 120 in. I think it's time for doing a giveaway, because we had people dangling the carrot in front of their heads that they are here. So once again, it's about, the giveaway is about this thing here, and with a virgin variant. So we are going to give that to someone, and please don't make me ship that to North Korea or something like that. So we hope that someone wins it that lives in the normal country. But we are going to see. So I would ask you, I don't know, do you have a phone with a calculator or something where you can take a number? Because we do the good old number game. We're going to choose, you are going to choose a number between 1 and 100. And the first person in the chat that nails the number that you take down, you name you name the name.
So you want me to pick a number?
Yeah, you pick a number, but you don't show it to us. And then people start spamming numbers between 1 and 100, and it's already starting. I hope you have your number.
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts there with Brandon Babcock. If you see the number, you tell me, right? We have 22, 44, 55, 69, 87, 11,
OG
34.
Vault got it.
Huh?
I think OG Vault got it. He said 33, right?
Was he the first to say 33? That would be super funny. We have, I see a, that's
did he say 23?
That's Gem has the first 33.
Oh yeah, he had 33. Yeah, I was like, and you know what? He's my admin guy, so I don't want anybody to think that that was. I didn't see it when it first came up. I really had 33 as the number.
Yeah, but OG Vault said 33, but that's Gem said it before.
Yeah.
So he's that's Jam. Congratulations to the big comic. I would have also celebrated the OG Vault winning that, but that's Jam. Make sure to get in contact with me on Twitter so that we can see where to ship it to. And don't worry, all my rare hodlers still get their comics as well. So the ones that have taken part in a very far distant giveaway won some comics as well.
I hope nobody thinks anything is fishy going on there, because me and him know each other well. But I mean, obviously, I said OG Vault first. What's up, Vault?
Yeah.
So obviously, I wasn't trying to cheat or anything like that and give it to him. Certainly not.
I think Ron, you have so much integrity that no one would think that you would try to scam in a foreign chat.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that.
And then to someone where you didn't even have control over. So no, that's yeah. And OG Vault is right. So the only one that is mad at you is OG Vault now.
Hey, don't worry, Vault. You'll get another one soon. We're working on it.
Okay. Yeah, soon, right? Mark the words. It's going to happen in the next 6 years.
Securities issue to give out 2 during a stream.
Okay, so congratulations. I think that is a super nice piece. And by the way, guys, this is brought to you by the Gold Dragon Club, right? So the Gold Dragon Club, just to mention that also, is doing giveaways. If you hold the golden Asian dragon, I don't even know, it's called the Gold Dragon, I think only, on VeVe, then you can participate in several things. Like this giveaway was just sponsored by them to raise awareness, but they are also giving away Ecomi tokens between the hodlers of these items, and I think I can show it even to you. Here we have that. So this is, if you are a Gold Dragon Club a Gold Dragon hodler, then this is the item that you're looking for. And they're doing a ton of giveaways. Like they gave away a trip to Disneyland, I think, Paris on another stream. They are approaching different YouTuber streams, people on X, to do some giveaways. And I think that's just a great thing. I think it's super generous, and they are doing an effort to bring utility to some of the collectibles. There are some other projects out there that bring utility to certain collectibles, but here you see it, right? So if you have the Gold Dragon from the store, I think it's about $400 now or so. So there is really a lot of people already signed on that thing. There is an email address where you can sign up basically with your mint number. They proof check, and then you can, there's a list your dragon at 88,000, and then you can take part in Omi and other giveaways. So thank you very much to the Gold Dragon Club. I'm honored that I could do the giveaway here for each and every one. And yeah, it was fun, and I hope there's more to come soon. So that Gem says I have to ship to Mexico, so that will be probably my price to get that over there. I hope that
he said he'll find a German address. He's from Germany originally.
Okay, Mexico. I left Germany. I hope you're only on holidays, right?
Nah, well, he is now.
I find a German address though. Yeah, I mean that would make it easier and also safer, because I'm not quite sure how many packages get lost even with tracking numbers on the way. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. So overall, I think we will, after 123, end the stream here, but some people said that you're basically a gold mine when it comes down to crypto and the overall market and everything. So people want to have part 2, obviously, at some time in the future. I think we will do that. But for now, we're going to end it here. Do you have any words for the community regarding everything, like the crypto market, Omi, something that you want to share that is important as an investor and mindset or whatever?
Sure.
So I was like, no, please continue. We have 8 more minutes.
I put one thing. I just want to reiterate that I'm not directing these comments to anybody. I'm not. I don't have a big kind of pull that the things I say are going to matter to affect the price of Omi or VeVe or anything like that. At the end of the day, it's all just speculation. I've had some success at calling projects. That doesn't mean that just because I say it, that's what it is. I acknowledge that there's a lot of catalysts that can happen to still make this thing work out. But you also need to acknowledge if you're pro VeVe that they need to happen sooner than later. They need to start happening, or you might need to have some conversations with yourself in the mirror and really think about what you're doing.
Yeah, and the Cray Mountain really wants to ask you a question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cray Mountain, shoot it in the chat right now so that we can get this over with. Will Ethereum reach 3,000? I think he means, or 300. I don't know, but 30,000 is probably what he means.
We talked about that some at the beginning of the stream. If you want to watch exactly like my whole thing on it, but I feel ETH is the important chart now. I try to stay a leg ahead of the market. Bitcoin, I was already looking to sell out at 48 to 50K. Bitcoin's topped out for now. At least that's my, I think all probabilities, Bitcoin's topped out for now. ETH is what's important. So the ETH chart, what we want to see is a close on the green on the weekly. We want a close on the green on the weekly, preferably the bar closing towards its high of the bar. It can even be a little green bar. But if we see that, then good chance for 3K. The closest swing high in the market on higher time frames is 3,600. That's what I really like to see. ETH go up to 3,600. We have this altcoin blow off, and then the market just does nothing for a couple months. Because what happens is, I'm not trying to go on too long, but just like market's been going up, like it was like trending, even on higher time frames. So people want to get that big move. They always want to get that big move. And when the big moves happen and they weren't in it when it happened, then they missed it and they're kind of on the sidelines because now they feel like it's like FOMO. That's where you got to know the difference between a range and a trend, whether it's okay to jump in or not. But all these people didn't jump in. But what do they want? They want to get the big move. So once the big move happens and the market starts to settle down in a range, every candle, one way or the other, people are trying to jump on it because they want to hit that big move. But now it's not doing that. The market's in a range, which it is 80% of the time. So in a range, you go against the candle. So if you're getting green candles, you actually want to sell them, and vice versa for the, it depends on where it is and things like that. But if you get a big candle in a range, more likely you want to sell it going the other direction. If you get a big candle in a breakout and then to continue, and then you want to go with that, you haven't missed the move if that's the conditions that you see. So that's just some of the psychology of what goes on here. Because when you get a big move, it's like kicking a hornet's nest, and it spins everybody up. Because the conditions I just said, they missed it or whatever, and now they want the big move. But you can't make the market do something it's not going to do. And after a big move up like this, it's V-shaped reversals are rare. So what's normally going to happen is going to enter some kind of ranging pattern. And that's when people get whipped around because they're what's fresh in their mind is what just happened, the move, the big move that I missed, and I'm not going to miss this next one. And then they get whipped around, and by the time they've gotten whipped around that range, they're like, man, F this, manipulation that, these whales, BlackRock, whatever excuse they got to say. And that's when the market compresses down more and more and more, and then the breakout happens, and the cycle just keeps going over and over again.
Great times. The future is bright, as Pixel Trader also says. Thank you very much for bringing the alpha to the stream that you brought, especially with the insight into the shareholders there. But everything else of the market insights, guys, make sure to check out the possibility of Ron's Telegram group. Also check out his YouTube channel. Very important. Don't forget to subscribe to this one if you want to see more of the streams like this. Smash up a like button under the stream so that everyone can find out about it and see that they missed the giveaway. And what was the name? That's Gem. Get in touch with me. And yeah, so you guys have to understand, I would go on and continue. I would have so many more things to talk with Ron, but it is 1:30 a.m. in the morning already here in Germany. So, and I have to get to work in a couple of hours. So I think I get some sleep before. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and wherever you are on the world, have a great morning, evening, day, night, or afternoon. And we see you, or I see you in the next video or live stream. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
There, guys.